So for me, the relativism that I'm referring to is the sort that really emerges in postmodern thought, which is, okay, you get the postmodern critique of this notion of universal reason and absolute truth and all this stuff, because there's an insight that we are embedded in social contexts that shape our knowledge production and that shape our understanding of reality. And that these contexts vary considerably from culture to culture and time to time, and that if we take seriously that we get reared we get socialized into systems of knowing, then there doesn't seem to be any way to appreciate any relative merits for or against any notions of truth, what we should affirm, what we can't, because anything I say could just be my perspective. It could make sense to me, but it won't make sense to you. And then we seem to be stuck in a kind of, what's called the micro narrative. And there is no narrative that we can share between us. And if you pursue this, which we have over the past 30 years, you wind up getting the breakdown of a certain kind of social cohesion. You get a fragmentation between different communities of people who then eye each other askance because they don't believe that they can actually communicate with one another, and that their lived experience is even understandable by other groups of people. So you wind up getting this sort of balkanization, tribalization, this sort of moving to a more kind of insular parochial perspective that feels like it's defensible intellectually, and then winds up becoming antagonistic towards all the other groups, but there's no one to adjudicate between these other groups, and everything that would do anything to impose any kind of structure or order or law is inherently just sort of an evil power force that has no justified legitimation in being able to impose itself on other micro narratives, but it does, and therefore we should resist those. But then at the same time, this whole framework seems to presume certain truths. So isn't there a performative contradiction in the notion that there is no truth? So the whole thing is just a mess, right? And that's why I feel like we need to find a way to respond to it in a way that appreciates its core insight while also avoiding the performative contradiction and moving meta beyond it. That would be...
Yeah, okay. We are correct in intuiting that there is a likeness between the end and the beginning. There's no actually going back to the beginning. This is Barfield's point, right? Like this is why final participation has to pass through the withdrawal of participation, has to pass through modernity. Like there's no avoiding that pathway. There's no just going back to original participation. It's not happening.
And all I want, and my whole point, the thing that got me into these sets of conversations is basically to make that point. Because when I look around and see a lot of the conversation, it looks like people running to get back to original participation, and not like orienting towards what a final participation might look like, which is just the whole progressive orientation that I want to add.